What's up, everybody? It's Greg with Delta, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business with coaching on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And we bring on guest speakers. Today, I got the honor and pleasure of welcoming Miss Darleen Priday. Darleen, how are you?
Good. Thanks so much for having me, Greg.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm excited to have you here and have a conversation and hear about your experience and you share some wisdom. And for those of you that don't know who Darleen is passionate about empathetic and relational sales. Darleen equips business coaches and entrepreneurs with the strategy and confidence to sell their services. Empathetic selling and relationship building are the core of who she is as a person. She has created a unique approach to business development that has been wildly successful for her and her clients. Darleen lives in Orlando area with her husband of 30 years, Jay. They have a daughter, Taylor. When not working, she loves spending time with her family, cooking up a storm for family and friends, tackling DIY home projects, and exploring Florida. She is blessed to have an elected group of friends that appreciate her sense of humor and her uncanny ability to send perfectly funny memes. I love funny memes. I have a whole funny meme chat. So.
Memes in my love language, Greg.
Yeah, those are my favorite. So, Darleen, empathetic sales.
Yes.
Empathetic. So, a lot of people mistake. I found a lot of people mistake empathy for sympathy. How do you explain it to me?
So, empathy is really just putting yourself in that other person's shoes, understanding where they're coming from, where their pain points are, what they are feeling, and being able to speak to that. Versus, I think sympathy is like when you feel sorry for somebody. So the people that I deal with, I don't feel sorry for them, but I do need to understand where they're coming from to help them best.
Absolutely. In a similar way, I say that empathy is taking an account of what someone says without agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
So there's no favoritism, negativity, positivity in any way. It's just let me understand.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so it sounds like this is what you're going through. And then once you've kind of created that empathetic connection, now you can go through and have a realistic conversation. Like, hey, I understand that you're upset about this. However, out of your control. You can't control another person, blah, blah, blah. And then you can kind of like talk through each piece once you've shown I understand.
Absolutely. People really want to feel heard and understood. And so many times salespeople are just talking at that person, just like they have a script and they're trying to hit all the points and all of that type of stuff, as opposed to really actively listening to the person to really be able to help them for what they need.
Yeah. Because people don't buy the terms and the conditions and like, hey, this is what this product does. When we look at it from a selling perspective, like here's all the benefits, or the benefits are it's almost like a value proposition. I'm trying to look for a specific word, but basically here's everything the product does. This is everything that I do, right? And salespeople have a hard time connecting what they do to what the client's problems are and understanding that. And so what you really sell are the problems. And it's like the benefits, the solutions to those problems, which just happen to be, it's just a slight change in verbiage, really, because you're talking about the benefits of said product or service and how it's linked to solving the problem that client has.
Yes.
Once you've understood it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also want to personalize it, because when there's just like a one size fits all, nobody feels heard or valued. But when you personalize it to how that product or service could really impact their life, then that makes a big difference, because it creates in the person's mind, they could see themselves benefiting from that and how they would fit in that role.
Yeah. And a good way to do that, honestly, is once you've understood it, is tell stories of how like a benefit of your product or service has helped somebody in a similar situation, or it helped you. That's how you realize this or use this product or service or whatever, that you're like, hey, this was me. This is where I was, similar to you. I understand you. So I know exactly where you're at. And then when I applied these things, this was the benefit. and then this was the solution, so on and so forth, and now this is where I'm at. So you kind of create that picture of where you are, where you want to be, the bridge. And so, I like I had a coaching call with one of my or with my coach that is helping me with my coaching program and like
Mm,
helping me to like basically brand myself in a specific way. And so he he was like, well, a lot of your stuff right now, the way you're talking is the end result, but you have to speak to where they're at, because no one goes around saying, let's say that you're a really busy professional and you feel like your life is like too rushed, you don't have time, you're living a little bit of an unhealthy lifestyle, you're not eating right, you don't have time to work out, and it's causing a little bit of anxiety in your life. And I'm like, and I'm pitching, hey, be the best version of yourself, remove anxiety, this, that, the other. They're not walking around be like, man, I wish I could find some way that could take away the anxiety. What they're really looking for is, I need more time. I need a
yeah.
system that's gonna give me more time. Like, and so he was like, you have to like kind of peel back the layers even more of like that person's mindset. And then you have to talk about those issues. Like, hey, does this sound like you, kind of thing? That's how you're gonna attract those people in a little bit better. So they're like, man, he's like, there's people that are looking for it. You just have to have the right message that attracts them. Or when you're having a conversation during a sales presentation.
Yeah, and I think what you said about meeting the people where they are, everybody comes from a different place, right? So understanding, instead of getting into the call and looking for objections and then finding the objections, if you start where they are, that makes it a lot easier to address those before they can even verbalize it,
Yep.
right? Now you're meeting them, you understand, you've been there, done that, or like you said, have somebody else who has. I sell virtual assistant services as well. So I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small businesses. And the reason why I'm so successful is because I can put myself in that position and say, I coach on delegation and I know where I struggle.
Yep.
It's, it's not something that you either have to be successful, or it could be a learned skilled. So being able to say, look, you're here, I've been there before, and this is where I stumble now, makes you more relatable and more authentic, which is something that I talk a lot about, is being authentic
Mhm.
and sharing where you struggle also, because people connect with that.
No, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. They do connect with it. Um, and this is a novice. I feel like I did the same thing. Like a novice sales mistake is you want to focus on the product. You want to focus on what you're selling so much so that you can be like, look at this gee whiz feature. Like,
Yeah.
look, it does this, it does this. Oh, and by the way, it does this. It's like those features don't sell. They don't care about that. Like they really care about is solving their problem. And it's hard, even though in your mind, okay, this is your problem, these features will solve it. The conversation doesn't translate that way. And so it's translating the conversation in a way that they feel understood, and then talking on the benefits. So I like to do like a feature benefit, feature benefit, then benefit of the benefit. So like, hey, this program is gonna, I'm gonna go ahead and do a complete meal plan for you. That's not only gonna be simple and easy, but I'm also gonna take a lot of the guesswork out of it. And I'm gonna tell you, this is what you're gonna buy from the grocery store every single week, right? In order to make sure that that's completely off your plate and you don't have to worry about it. But that's gonna buy you back more time so that you don't have to think, what do I got to get this week, right? And there's no question, no guesswork. You can just go ahead and put it in and be more efficient with your time. So like the feature is that I'm giving you a specific meal plan with a grocery list and all this stuff, the benefit, and then the benefit of the benefit. So and that seems to help a lot more with like kind of solidifying in there and saying how it helps them.
And I think also really tuning into nonverbal cues You
Yeah.
know when you're losing someone, right? You know when you're hitting their pain point because their eyes light up like, how are you in my inbox? Are you in my home? Are you in my kitchen? Whatever that may be. So when you really see what's lighting that person up, where that is where their pain point is, or if you see somebody shutting down, you can't just have a script. You can't just stick to the method that has worked a million times. It doesn't matter. It's conversations.
Yes.
So, when you're losing your audience, you want to, just kind of flip it around and see what is going to catch them and what is important to them.
Mm.
Because while just what you said, if you have a million benefits, that's great. But if it's not important to them, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. What happened, or like, how did you come across this method of teaching or selling?
So I think part of it is just my nature. I've been in sales for most of my life, and I think I heard another podcast where you were talking like people say like I hate sales, I'm not in sales, but we're selling right all the time.
Yeah.
Our ideas, even when we're young, getting our parents to agree to things and stuff like that. So I feel like I've always been in sales, but I've always really I like helping people. That is really what makes me happy. Seeing somebody, knowing that what I am suggesting is right for them and seeing them succeed is just very gratifying. But then as I develop my career, there's a lot of sales coaches out there or books or different things like that. Always be closing, hit that target, get a signed contract before you're on the, off of the call. So I was hearing a lot of this from people that had seniority over me. And I was like, a kid in my 20s, but it just didn't feel right. And whenever I tried to morph myself into what somebody else was telling me, I did not succeed. When I went by my gut, that is when I was successful. So then I started just listening to my intuition and really seeing what is working and why is it working.
Mhm.
And it all goes back to the empathy piece of it, the relational piece of it. People don't buy things or services, they buy from people they trust.
Yeah. No, like and trust.
Yeah.
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 It's
So,
it's like a simple concept. Imagine that you're halfway across the world and you're in Europe and you're traveling, and then you run into somebody, you have a conversation, you find out that you guys are both from the same hometown. All of a sudden, you're like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" Like, "Ah, that's so interesting." And now you've like struck up a conversation. Before you know it, you like this person because they have something in common with you, and you're more likely to like want to talk and like share stories and just lose yourself. But if you're in your hometown and you run into somebody and someone's from there, you're like, meh, whatever. Like, of course you're from here.
you're like hiding behind the, the
Like,
grocery.
okay, yeah. Like it's because it's not unique, but and that's why I try to find some kind of commonality between them that I can have the initial know, like, and trust. Like, hey, here's some stranger who I've never really met, except for now the sales call. And it's that initial kind of boost of being like, oh, we do have a connection because we people flock together, so likes like.
Yeah.
And so that's a good segue to kind of start off that know, like, and trust to build a little bit of reciprocity with them to where then the conversation goes a little bit smoother as well.
1000%. And I think what's important too, if you have the opportunity, do your homework.
Mm.
Go to somebody's website, even meeting you today. I listened to some of your podcasts, right? People want to know that you're invested and that you care about them, right?
Mm.
And that's where you can find those common threads of even if it's something that they have a dog or a rescue dog or, a certain area of the country, that makes a huge difference because now you're connected with them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Um, so you've been in sales since your 20s
Hmm.
and for a long time. What are some of the positions and sales positions that you've had that you've in the industries that you've worked?
Yeah, so I have a fashion degree and I started my career in the fashion industry. And actually, I was a buyer, But really, even with buying, selling is the end game, right? So you still have to know your customer and all of that type of stuff. Um, I did product development. I was in hair accessory industry. So even though I was in product development, marketing, that area of it, I'd always be brought in for the bigger customers because I sold the best. Because I believe I made the product, right? So I was passionate about the product, and I also never operated where you needed 20 of the same thing. I wanted it to sell on the other end because they were going to keep coming back. So that's, but I mean, even before then, I was in retail, throughout high school and college. I worked in retail, and then I just continued my path. I was in logistics. I mean, I probably have sold everything, right? Logistics, selling trucking. I hated that. I did that for a couple of years. That is a tough industry. That is just a tough industry. And then I got into the virtual staffing world, which I fell in love with because I got to talk to incredible entrepreneurs and business people all day long and really help them. So, and out of that, really born, then my company was born because I saw a lot of coaches, a lot of service providers that had amazing offerings, and they were struggling with sales because they would go from the coaching hat and then turn around and be like, feel inauthentic, feel sleazy, like I'm, a used car salesman that I'm selling now. And what I developed is a system where I can work with them, individualize it because everybody's unique, taking their giftings, taking their intuition, and just giving them processes, confidence to really be able to continue to sell their product.
I love that. I love that. That's obviously like a great market to be in, is helping those coaches to be able to sell their product more efficiently, because there seems to be a uptick in the coaching space quite a bit.
Well, I kind of fought it because I was like, who needs another coach, right? Like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, there's a coach for everything.
yeah,
But in getting to know more, there's definitely niches out there and there's a need for it. And we're in an exciting time where, I mean, back in the day, again, I've been in business a long time. Nobody had a coach, nobody cared. You just learned it and that was it. They threw you in the deep end and you survived. So
yeah.
now there's so many more resources for business owners, for even employees of companies, where they can get the support they need to just be ongoing learners and just keep developing their soft skills.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The um, what have you found to be the biggest challenge for when you transition into the coaching space for you?
Well, I am grateful because the people that I work with, I really handpick. I'm not looking to work with everybody. And I've learned long ago, like, you can't sell everybody. And you also don't want to work with everyone. So I'm pretty upfront in my process before someone works with me, how I operate, what they can expect. If they're looking to triple their sales in 30 days, like, I'm not giving any guarantees like that. Will you be able to be successful? Yes. So, but if somebody's looking for a quick fix or me to just give them the magic formula, it's really not there. So the challenge is telling people no when you want to help them, but you're not going to really be their best service. That is a challenge. And I always can point them in a different direction. I have a great network of people. But it's helping really people get out of that mindset where they can get out of their own way. So you're almost like a little bit of a psychologist, you're helping them understand that they have the power all along to be able to do this.
Mhm.
They just need to tweak it and be able to set up the process. But also, there are methods, like, most people that I talk to, they don't even follow up. They're like, I got to know, they didn't want it. So there's a balancing act, right? You don't want to be obnoxious. You don't want to be bothering somebody, But the reality is that sometimes people need a few touch points before they're ready to go. Or it might not be a no, it might be a not now. So there's a lot of nuances that I can help put that structure in so they're not looking at it as a pass or fail.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how long did it take you to start scaling your coaching business? Was that a difficult process?
It has been a long ramp up. I was doing it very, very limited for quite a while, and then just recently I started doing it a little bit more. I'm still in the virtual staffing world, so I still do that. And the reason why I don't just do the coaching is because, again, I want to handpick who I'm working with. And I'm not to the point where that's all I can do. So I'm just kind of having a balancing act, and I'm still that entrepreneur that still has their hands in a couple of different pots right now. But for the coaching, I work with probably 1 to 2 clients a month, again, handpicked to really give them that individualized attention.
Yeah. So you're juggling the two
Yeah.
professions. If you were to be 100% authentic to you and who you are,
Yeah.
and what would you do differently to what you're doing right now?
So, like, if money wasn't an object, if nothing, like if there was no barriers or anything like that, I would probably be like feeding homeless people. Like I love feeding people. I'm Italian, so I love cooking for people. Like I would do some kind of just straight up nonprofit type of thing and just be helping people.
Okay. And so you're kind of helping people with your coaching, which is like different kind of service, but
It is. It's very gratifying coaching because I am helping people, and I love an underdog. I love seeing that potential in somebody that maybe they don't even see themselves, and empowering them to be able to operate at a higher level. That is very gratifying for me.
yeah. No, I 1,000% agree. There is nothing like like looking at someone and say, I see more potential in you than you see in you. Let's pull it out. And then seeing them start to pull out and change. That's the most gratifying thing in the world.
We all need cheerleaders, right? Like I have them in my life, and even though I can it's easy to look into somebody else's life and see those things objectively. And then in your own life, when you're too close to it, you need to have those truth tellers. You need to have those champions, and you need to have those encouragers surrounding you so you can get out of your own way, just like you're helping other people get out of their own way.
Yeah. So what goals do you have for your coaching business right now?
I am just going to keep being authentic with working with handpicking the people that I want to work with.
Mm,
I don't I do have some goals. I've lived long enough to know, you make plans, God laughs, right?
yeah.
So what I didn't want to do in starting this business is tie it to a result. I really wanted to create it. It was a passion project when I started, and I really want to let it evolve the way that it's going to evolve. So I want to eventually do some courses that will help just anyone that maybe can't go through my program, or whatever it may be, on a different level. I'm really not sure. There's so many interesting things out there, and I am the typical entrepreneur where I'm like squirrel, shiny.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I'm gonna just kind of keep doing what I'm doing and seeing where it takes me.
So you mentioned doing some courses. I assume it's like creating like almost like a digital university that people can, pay into or buy into and kind of teach them or coach them along the way.
Yes.
Is that something that you're looking at creating? Have you put the blueprints down? Have you started recording? Like what stage you in?
So I have the blueprints, I have the outline and everything, but I really want to get through more. I'm learning more from each of the clients that I'm coaching with, a
Yeah.
little bit more, right? Because
Yeah.
even though I'm teaching them, I'm also learning.
Yeah.
So I want to my thing is I always want to give the best value. Like I really want to give somebody, it's going to be like a golden nugget for them. So the more I'm learning, the more I'm kind of tweaking and seeing, oh, okay, there's a commonality. So I think like probably by fall I may, start recording and actually implementing that.
Okay. Okay. If you had to have it recorded in the next 30 days,
Yeah.
what would be your next 3 moves?
Um If I had to record it, I would probably just you're really giving me hard questions now.
I'm putting you in the hot seat.
Exactly. I'm
I like
like,
it.
did my coach put you up to this? Like to hold me accountable because I'm always like, we'll just see where it goes. So I mean, I actually have an amazing network of people that
Uh-huh.
I would reach out to and that do courses because a course is also, everything just like sales is not in a vacuum. A course is not in a vacuum. You can have a great course and if you don't have the marketing for it, if you don't have the right packaging, all of that type of thing. And I also I don't like things that look like homemade, right? Like I'm not going to just I could record it tomorrow, but like I would want if I'm going to put out a course, I want it to be really professional and really valuable to the client. So, thankfully I have some good connections that actually this is all they do is high-end courses and that would be my next move is, always hire the person that knows what they're doing
Yeah.
because I think as entrepreneurs, I certainly have that brain that thinks, how hard can it be? Right. And then I'm knee deep in a project and I'm overwhelmed and then I have to hire a professional. So I think I learned enough to go to the best for what they do and
Yeah.
outsource. I'm big with outsourcing.
Nice. Nice. I would agree. I mean, I've created some online courses and I did it off of this camera right here, which is fine. Like it's okay, but I still want to. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I kind of want to go to a professional studio, have it like edited professionally, have it look really clean and crisp, all that stuff, and then put it on the right platform. There's a lot of little nuances once you actually get in and do the work for a little bit, you start to see all these little pieces and how they play. Some of those little pieces, small hinges swing big doors. And
Yes, I love that expression. You're right. You're right. Well, it's the same thing as, what I teach, what you teach. Everybody has those zones of genius that those little things that are so natural to us and don't seem like a big deal are just game changing for someone else. So I know enough to know that there's people out there that can do it a lot better than I can when I need the help.
yeah, absolutely. And it's I find that the entrepreneurs that are willing to actually reach out for help and pay for services in order to like increase their brand or increase their entire company, the organization, whatever, themselves have coaches themselves. Like you mentioned, like your coach, I have a coach. Actually got a couple for different reasons. So, but those are the ones that typically they understand the concept. They understand like, hey, I got to invest in myself, my organization, this, that, the other, in order for me to grow to the level that I want to grow and help the amount of people I want to help, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's a key differentiator for like the entrepreneurs that become successful and the ones that don't because they try to just do it themselves. And it's not that you can, but a lot of progress that you make is invisible.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so you don't know that you're making progress and it takes so long when you do it yourself and you don't see how far along the path you are or how close that pinata is to breaking, right? You're just beating on that pinata and then finally like, all right, I'm done. This thing ain't breaking. Then the next person comes up, cracks it once and candy goes everywhere. And you just don't realize that you had like weakened it so much and you gave up just a little bit too soon. So it's
It's so true. Like I tell my clients like why limp along when there's help available, right? There's going to be things that only you can do in your business. There's that time when you just got to, bite the bullet and do it yourself. But when there's resources that can really get you to the next level, but also make it so much more enjoyable too, because let's face it, when you start your business, right? You start your business because you're passionate about what you do, but there's a lot of other crap that you have to do just to get your business going.
Yeah.
So that's why, and there's so, we live in an amazing age right now where you can outsource and get fractional
Yeah.
anything you need. So there's no reason not to rely on other people to really keep you in your zone of genius and get you where you need to be.
Yeah. I love that. I love that term, keeping you in your zone of genius. It's so true. Cause then you're more, you're more fulfilled on a daily basis. It doesn't feel like work. But when when you have to go through the slog, the grind of like all the extra stuff that has to come with running your organization, and you really don't like it, then it slows you down. If you ignore it, then it's always in the back of your head, like I gotta do it, I gotta do it, gotta do it. It slows you down. Like it weighs on you, right? But when you can rest assured that like I got somebody just handling this, I got another person handling this, I hired somebody out, third party broker to take care of this for me. I can focus on this. Man, you get in the flow state so much better. You can focus on the task at hand. You work in that zone of genius, and you're a lot more productive. You actually, it's almost like it's a force multiplier to help you actually make more money to find more success when you spend that money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's like a lot of people talk about time management, and realistically, it's energy management because you and I probably, when we do certain things, it gives you more energy and it fuels you even more. And the time doesn't matter, right? Like you're energized. But I know I have those things that are in my drudgery zone. Like last week, and I was like, I sat there with a bunch of paperwork that I just had to do, and I put it off for the longest time. It literally took me a half an hour, but it hung over my head for 2 weeks because I procrastinated. And then when I finally sat down and just plowed through it, I was able to get it done, but it kind of sucked the life out of me. So, so those things, it's really protecting your energy too, to focus and entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, right? You
It's
need all
not.
the energy you can get.
Absolutely. No, you're so true. You're so true. So, if anyone wants to learn more about your coaching, if they want to see if they are a good fit for you and your style, and they hear this and they're like, man, I really like the way Darlene's talking and this empathetic approach to sales. I want to increase my sales and get better. I'm not looking for a shortcut, that kind of thing. What's the best way to learn more about it or to reach out to you to find out more information?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, dpconsults.com. And actually, I'm sorry, it's dp-consults.com. And there's a form on there they can fill out. I'll have a discovery call with them. It's no charge, there's no pressure. See if it's the right fit. And I can guarantee you, if I'm not the right resource, I have a lot of great people in my network that I can get them to the right person to help them.
Yeah. And that's important. That's actually key. Like, because then as a salesperson, I'm going to make a quick note. When you truly have a conversation with a potential client and you're just there to see, is my product service a good fit for you? And if it's not, I'll refer you out. And you honestly do, it
Yeah.
releases the pressure of the sale because you're not trying to sell them. You're trying to provide service to them and help them to get to a better position, right? Not only that, but as a salesperson, we're not trying to sell, we're trying to help them make a decision.
Yes.
That's
And
it.
the end goal of that conversation is not the success of that conversation is not, did I make a sale? It's, did I build a relationship? Did I build trust? Period. Because then I have people that I never have worked with directly. I've had enough conversations with them where they become my evangelists and they send people to me because they know I'm going to shoot them straight.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. I've had clients in insurance that I'd be like, hey, I could give you this product. It's not the best fit for you. There's a product that's out in the market that's this much. It's way cheaper. It actually is a better fit. I highly recommend you go there. I can't sell it. No agent can, right? It's because you get it direct from the carrier.
Yeah.
Here's the website. I'll show them how to do it, everything. But what 9 times out of 10 what happens there is they're so impressed that I didn't just try to sell them that they're like, you know what, we'd rather just work with you anyways, and they do it anyways, or they send me it like all their like, you got to talk to my daughter, you got to talk to my son, you got to talk to my family, blah blah, blah. And they start sending me people because they know
Definitely.
I'm an honest person. I'm not just trying to sell you.
Exactly. People know. People know when you care. People know when you're, just BSing them, and people know when you're just in it to make the sale.
Yeah,
So, that is definitely something that I'm very aware of. I like to help people. I like to have those conversations, and I learn every conversation. I learn so much. So,
absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Darlene, for jumping on the podcast. The last question I have on my guests is, and what you probably know because you watched a couple, you have the opportunity to sit with, learn from, have a conversation with, break bread with 3 individuals, anyone in history, alive or deceased. Who are they and why?
oh my gosh, I guess I didn't get to any of the end of your podcast. I wish I had. First and foremost, I would love to sit with Jesus and see how he did not lose it and how he operates. And I would also, I think Martin Luther King Jr. was just like incredible. And
He's a good one.
uh, let me see. There's probably like Coco Chanel. Like those are my fashion roots. I'd probably like want to talk to somebody in the fashion industry too. So
I always joke that because a lot of, I mean, Jesus is a pretty common one. But
yeah.
it's like, how much of the conversation would it be him asking you a question from your question? To get you to like really think about the answer. Like he like asks you, he just prompts the right question, which gets you thinking, which is the actual answer. It's like it'd probably be a complete conversation of him asking you questions.
Yeah, or I could see him like shaking his head, like, really? Like, did you really, did you really do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Darlene, for jumping on the podcast and being part of the Be the Difference podcast. For those of you watching, you watched till now, then obviously you did get value. You got something from it. You learned something in terms of the importance of having understanding and having a conversation and taking the time to truly serve and provide value to your clients just through empathy, through an empathetical process that you can ask questions and learn more about your clients. And if you got value from this, well, we ask you something simple. Share this content with somebody else that can also get value from it. They can learn from it. They can change their perspective. They may be entertained. It takes you 30 to 60 seconds to rate, review, subscribe, or share, but it means the world to both Darlene and I. Make sure you check out her coaching website, dp-consults.com. Show her some love, maybe even have a conversation with her. She can probably help you. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time, we'll see you.